up, everyone? K Kim here. Today is August 25th, 2017, Friday. Hope you had a good week trading thus far. Welcome to the market update. Again, my name is K Kim with the Traders Club. Today, we're gonna go through quite a lot of stocks, and I'm gonna go through them very quickly here. I've done extensive analysis last week, so go ahead and check that out. I also put the link of that last week's video after or towards the end of this video. I've done video lessons on, understanding broken trend line, and last week on the market update I talked a lot about the kind of a psychology, certain price action and how to interpret those and how to understand the big picture and all that stuff. So I did much more. It's 30-minute video on the last week's market update video. If you haven't watched it for a long-term analysis, especially regarding Russell 2000, what it means, and also I've done video lesson on understanding broken trend line and how, as even you can see how everybody was freaking out last week where it got slightly below the 50 MA, and especially on the Russell 2000, it broke below the major support, the 8-month consolidation, and everybody was freaking out. I talked about how to understand all that, and so, and again, I'll put those video at the end of this video. So you can watch that. But today what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at Spider, Russell, IWM Q, XLF XLE XRT IBB, TLT, and then I'm gonna skip gold. Let me go through all these here, the FANG stocks: Apple, Tesla, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, Google. You know what? Let's go through everything. TLT, GLD, Silver. So we're going to do, okay, go back. Spider, IWM QQQ, XLF, XLE, XRT, IBB, TLT, GLD, SLV, GDX, Apple, Tesla, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, Google. We're going to also look at dollar and USO. And I'm going to go through these quickly, right? So let's see if I can get this done before within 15 minutes. Obviously, I did some, modification on my moving averages just to accommodate this recent price action. So if you want to know, or you want to, kind of adjust yours as well, just like mine is 20 EMA. 20 EMA is actually now at close, okay? 20 EMA is at close. 50 EMA remains at low, and I put 100 SMA on high. You see how it is right now. You can see how it is accommodating that 20 MA, just normal close, right? It has been acting as a resistance this whole week pretty much. 50 MA at low, it has been acting as support for pretty much, May, June, July, and we actually found support yesterday on that 50 MA. So I remain 50 MA setting on low, and 100 SMA on setting on high, where I find support right on that just earlier this week. And you can see that how, last week I talked about how sometimes it breaks support to create another one, a different one. What it did was it created this rising channel. You can see that it acted as support here. Before, it was this support we've been talking about, this rising support right there. It broke below that. Last week we talked about it. One of the reasons why support gets broken in an uptrend is to establish another one or a different one. This is a different one. You can see that right there. We're still in this rising channel. So, what I think is an important level to watch is this rising channel, because that's going to be a key point. Sooner or later, it's going to break above it, and then it's going to start to ride it. So my target with the recent low, this shenanigan that happened, my target is actually even higher now. 255 I'm targeting, and 259. I think these are possible. At least 255 for sure. I think it's possible before the year end. 259 maybe early next year, possibly before this year ends. I think these two are going to be my target. I'll continue to put that up there, and we will visit those and follow up every week on Friday. Worst, again, 50 MA or 20 MA acting as resistance. We got this falling resistance. Let's see how that plays out. We got a little bit of bull pennant type of pattern. 50 MA is, we are gonna flattening out or above it. So intermediate term, we're uptrend. Intermediate term, it's still the sentiment is bullish. In the minor term, kind of a neutral to bearish, as long as we're still below declining. Let's see how that plays out next week, that falling resistance. Let's continue on with the Russell. IWM Again, this is kind of what I talked about last week. You can see that it's slightly gotten below it and then traps everybody out and gets higher. You can see it's moving higher. It actually showing us some relative strength versus spider last 4 days. If you actually go to your weekly chart, guys, this channel support has not been broke. Go to your weekly chart and try it again. It is actually still holding. On the weekly, we have tweezer bottom. So let's see how that plays out for Russell 2000 to really break away from this and change the whole demeanor. Is need to get back above 140. They got pretty big gap here, so I suspect that there's a few things could happen. It could get up and down here, get up, either it gaps it up and move higher, or it's going to continue and fill it, pull back, and then get up. So let's see how that plays out. We'll continue monitor this and follow up next week, but long-term trend is still up on all the indices. Keep in mind, market doesn't go straight up. It's going to go up and down, shake everybody out, and then once they shook everybody out, that's when it tends to reverse. NASDAQ, Q's holding above this kind of this gap level, right? You see that gap level right here, that gap up level from earlier this week. That's kind of where we're holding. We're still, the market or the price is still above 50 MA. We do have still this resistance there. So we're kind of in the neutral ground really though, in my opinion. But once this thing breaks out, there's a chance it could continue higher, or what Russell could possibly do here, because we got a little bit of weekly bearish divergence on my oscillators as I look at my other screens here. So what it could possibly do is we could kind of start to fizzle and start to see a consolidations as the Qs has made a lot of move, while the small caps and some of these sectors haven't moved. The technology sector has done well. So what could possibly happen is we could get into some kind of a consolidation pattern here. We do have a weekly kind of a bearish divergence. Doesn't mean this is not a clean bearish divergence where it's gonna tank this thing, but I think they could kind of hang around here a little bit before kind of getting back up. Let's go to bank here, XLF. Let's remove that. We are finding support at that prior resistance, new support area right there. So you can see old resistance, new support. We're kind of finding we're sandwiched between 20 MAs falling, 50 MAs rising. We're pretty much kind of in the range now. So for this thing to kind of obviously to get back up, get in a primary term uptrend, needs to get above 25, 28. However, though, you got to understand the sentiment of this sector is that's kind of what it likes to do, up and down, a lot of grindy move. But once getting an uptrend, it will stay uptrend for years. That's 2 years right there. So ever since it broke out of this with a straight up move, and then we're kind of getting back up to the uptrend. So it's gonna have up and down moves. So if you look at this in a more primary term perspective, there's no worries there, really. So let's see how that plays out. Let's look at the energy sector. We're seeing a little bit of bounce here. This is a reason why, just because it made new lows, this is not the end of the world. We're at an extremely oversold level energy sector on a weekly and monthly. So it's hard to say as of today if this is bottom, but this is probably the level that I would like to bet to the long side. I'm not talking about day trading or swing trading. I'm talking about you want to get into some kind of a big bullish move here. I mean, obviously, do you want to go long here? Or do you want to go long there? Do you want to go long here? Do you want to go long there? Right? So I think, once this thing starts to get up, I think this thing could even make new all-time highs. So like energy sector, these beaten down stocks, right? Are the sectors that hasn't moved, like small caps, energy sector, the retail sector, and the biotech. Those are the ones I think is a good to kind of focus on towards the end of this year, the second half this year, and early next year, maybe first 2 quarters of next year. Though I think energy sector could rally for maybe a year or so. But let's see how that plays out. Retail obviously made new lows, start getting back up. Obviously it's ugly, it's messy, but I think it's tough sell at this point to be confidently long, obviously, but it's always tough sell in the market. When was the last time everything was good and dandy, right? So there could possibly be this could possibly be kind of a scare before moving higher, but we wouldn't know it until we start to see some cultivation. But I'll pay attention or focus on this. Biotechnology, obviously, I remember a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you guys remember when this thing, maybe a month ago, when this thing started to rally here, I was like, you know what, this is not the level that I want to buy. I would rather see this thing pulling back and retest some of these levels, right? So you can see got up here. We actually threw a daily bearish divergence here, pretty strong one, and then it came down here. This is actually a good level to buy the dip in that vicinity. We got rising 100 SMA, prior strong resistance. We got higher lows, higher highs. I think biotech will do well. We may get into back up to primary term uptrend. We consolidated and built that base. What is it? How is that? 2 years or so. I think it's ready to kind of climb back up here. Let's go Treasury bond. Treasury bond. Good look here. We got higher lows, higher highs. You can see this. It was a neckline right there, and then you can see that we got the beautiful golden cross right there. This just that's perfectly how it actually bounced. It doesn't always happen that way though. So we got higher lows, higher highs. We kind of cleared this level. We got rising moving averages. Treasury, 20-year Treasury bond tend to be gappy, so best way to really trade this is long term. Really, if you want to really, really want to ride move like that, which I did back in 2014. It was all documented in my blog, twotradersclub.com. I think Treasury bond. I forgot the title to it, but if you just search Treasury bond or something like that, or most popular article. So the only way to really ride and do a good job or do a good trading in Treasury bond is to go long term here. But look like this thing is ready to see another move here. I mean, sometimes it's going to be a big move like this, or sometimes it's going to be hectic, right? Like that. This is a reason why, if you understand certain levels, you can hold through this hecticness, maybe even buy the dip for another rally higher. So I actually embrace and I actually welcome consolidations and pullbacks, because after pullback, there's a bigger move comes. And when the pullback comes, don't freak out. Don't always look for opportunity when it pulls back within an uptrend. After, if it pulls back in a downtrend, it's not a good sign. But if it pulls back within an uptrend, let's always look for opportunity. GLD still, I've been talking about this level. We need to get back above 124.50, but I'm not talking about just getting slightly up, fake everybody going right back up. What I need to see this in getting up, coming back down, cultivating higher low, somewhere in that vicinity. So that's kind of what I've been looking at here, looking for. I'm actually been watching metals quite a little bit. GLD though, we got primary term downtrend. We're still below it. We did clear all this resistance here, but GLD silver still needs to get back probably about 1757 before I'm thinking about. GLD looks much better though. GDX cleared this downtrend resistance. That's a good sign, but just because it clears it doesn't mean a buy signal. I want to see GDX getting somewhere up here for me to start watching a bit more closely. Let's look at Apple. Apple's been grinding here. I think there's a good chance it could continue higher. We are getting into overbought territory in the monthly and weekly, but it could grind. Weekly 20 MA has been acting as support, so we got some good consolidation here. I don't have any position in Apple though, but it just because everything I do is long term, this is not a good level to start making new position. But let's see here. Looking at daily, we got a little bit of bearish divergence daily, but it's grindy. It's not a huge thing. So I don't know if I see a big move, but probably could see a grindy up move. That's what I could see. But we are still holding above these major moving averages. As long as hold up 20, minor term bearish or bullish. As long as it's above 50, intermediate term bullish, right? Tesla, after the earnings, it did see some shake and bake. We got a little bit of downtrend there, a little bit of uptrend, kind of sandwiched in between. Let's see how that plays out. Maybe a little bit of symmetrical triangle, right? We're still on a primary uptrend. The Netflix has came down. This actually make this as kind of an island reversal actually on Netflix. Let's actually look at that. We got a gap up, we got a gap down here, so this makes it island. That's not a good sign. Doesn't mean it's end of Netflix. It just means that this, the buyers, investors are a little bit spooked at this point. This might have been an exhaustion gap there on the earnings gap. So we filled the gap. We're seeing a little bit of support. Let's see how that plays out. I don't have any position on it. I think if this thing continues lower, next possible support 160, 155. Let's how that plays out. Facebook, Facebook is pulling back. It is extremely overbought on the monthly and weekly. That doesn't mean that Facebook is gonna crash down. It just means that this is not the level I'm gonna start going long for my time frame, right? It could very well continue higher. It's just that this is not the level that I want to start buying. But it is. I personally, and again, I'm not saying it's gonna happen. If those Facebook fanboys out there don't try to like, oh, you don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. It's gonna happen. What I'm saying is, I would like to see this thing coming back to like 170, maybe 100. Before I want to start thinking about going long. If you start to do that somewhere in that vicinity, I may be thinking about going along with some long-term calls, right? Amazon's pulling because you can see a lot of these stocks sooner or later they're gonna see a correction. After this kind of move, you're gonna see these things coming back down. Facebook, sooner or later, you're gonna see a correction. Amazon, wow, Amazon, I didn't see this for a while. Amazon possibly looks like some kind of, if this thing pops, man, I don't know if I want to buy that actually at this point. Could possibly, head and shoulder formation, but we're kind of breaking below the neckline here. Let's see. Yeah, weekly stock option rolling over now. Monthly is interesting on Amazon. We got the classic evening star reversal. You can see that right there, that long upper wick, and that's an evening star there. Remember last time, again, that this is a little bit early to judge, but Apple evening star reversal. This was back in August or September 2012. You can see this is pretty much perfect picture, like textbook evening star. So Amazon have something similar to that. So when you start to see something like that, what I would look for is look for not right here, but what I like to see is if Amazon comes down, and I don't know if it's going to, if it comes down to 8, for sure if it comes down to 846, that's heavy buying opportunity. But 200 SMA here did act as pretty strong support in that vicinity or somewhere here. So I think somewhere here, if it does come down somewhere in that vicinity, I'll be looking to buy that dip. Google's been struggling here a little bit. We got double topped here. It came down with, I'm just doing a little bit of maintenance on these. So I don't have any position on Google, so I don't really watch it, but I'm doing this analysis for you guys. So this is where we found support right there. Got all resistance, new support. So there's a good chance if you can get above 951, continue higher, but keep in mind gap is here. So it's gonna be tough to go long term here, maybe a quick swing trade. It could very well be a consolidation phase. Google does that. Google gets a big move and it gets into consolidation phase. Let me give you a little demonstration. Gets up, consolidation phase. Gets up, consolidation phase, right? And then get out. And then gets up, consolidation phase. So that's kind of possibly what we're looking at here, consolidation phase. Again, when it starts to consolidate, when it's a pullback, that's the level to watch for what? Opportunity, right? Just like it was opportunity somewhere here, it's opportunity somewhere here, and when it starts to come down, there will be opportunity somewhere there. Two more, let you guys go. UUP, I know UUP has been come down a lot. Let me look. I had a monthly divergence. We've been talking about that quite some time. It's been pretty much tanked ever since then. Weekly, we are mopping floors. All my oscillators are extreme oversold. That does not mean it's gonna bounce. It could stay oversold for a while, but looks like this neckline we're finally breaking below it. But this is a level that I don't want to go short. I don't want to go long. This is just probably the level to just kind of watch and see how low it goes. One last one, let you guys go. Oil, USO. Let's see how that, yeah, got a little bit of that. We got that downtrend coming all the way up here. That's where we found resistance here. So it's still a tough look, man. It's still, we got lower highs, lower lows. For this thing starts to maybe, find something different, probably needs to get back about 1126. If you can get that above it, hold above that, maybe like something like this, then possibly get an uptrend, but still too early to call it. It's a tough look. See how that plays out. Well, that's everything. Have a wonderful weekend. Good luck trading next week.